Hi, my name is Sophie. I'm a professional doll maker. Since the launch of my new doll line, I wanted to introduce more diversity, so today I'm going to make two dolls inspired by East Asian features. It was a bit of a challenge to combine the real-life features with my personal doll-like style, and today I will show you the full story. Let's begin to create. I gathered a lot of reference photos and started sculpting the face prototype out of modeling clay. I only use traditional materials and techniques, so I do everything by hand. I move from overall shape to smaller details and check the symmetry multiple times using a mirror. I refined the features until I was happy with the sculpt, and then made a plaster mold to create an intermediate cast in porcelain. When the prototype was cast, I started to refine all the imperfections and I realized I didn't like it as much. It felt like I had to do justice to this face, so I gathered even more reference and resculpted pretty much all of the features. This time it actually clicked, and I finally felt like the face looked right. So, I primed the prototype and was ready to make a mold to cast the actual dolls. As I did previously, I'm going to create two dolls, a boy and a girl, using the same face template. I prepared the porcelain slip in the mold and started to cast. I am using the mold for my 12-inch doll bodies I created in a previous video. I cast all the pieces, and when they dried a bit, I could carefully open up the mold and take the future dolls out. I cut off the spruce and make holes for assembly, and left the dolls to dry. Now I can start sanding. I remove the seam lines and sanded every single piece. When the general sanding is done, I move on to finer details. Right from the mold, the cast of hands, feet and other small parts are pretty rough, so I have to fix that. I separate the fingers on the hands and carve all the necessary details like nails and wrinkles. Then I move on to the feet and take the same steps. Finally, I add finishing touches to the faces. They require a bit more depth and definition, so with my tools and a needle, I make all the features a bit sharper and add the tiniest details like wrinkles on the lips and under the eyes. After the first round of sanding, I take all the parts to my kiln and do an intermediate firing. The low fire strengthens the pieces, so I can wet sand them to absolute perfection. Finally, when all the pieces are sanded and refined, I can prepare them for high firing. After a night in the kiln at 1200 C, the clay transforms into beautiful translucent porcelain. I can't stop talking about how much I love this material, but just looking at it speaks for itself. Even though the porcelain is beautiful on its own, next I'm going to bring the dolls to life by painting them. Porcelain is painted with china paints, which are fired in the kiln so they never fade or come off. I gradually add shading and blush to the face of the doll, firing each layer. I gave the girl beautiful deep brown eyes and softly shaped eyebrows. Every eyelash and eyebrow hair are painted by hand. Finally, I add the smallest details like birthmarks and highlights to give the face even more life and expression. I love the soft and gentle look on her face. I think she has a sweet and thoughtful personality. Now, let's take the same face and create a different character. For the boy, I painted a much stronger brow shape, which on its own gives him a completely different expression. He also has a pair of brown eyes, which I painted in a few layers to give depth to the irises. Then I painted the eyelashes and eyebrow hairs, and to be honest, these are probably my favorite eyebrows I have ever painted so far. I love the striking shape and how every single hair is super defined, yet the scale is so tiny. I also painted highlights and birthmarks on him. I think he has a bit more reserved and introverted personality, almost mysterious, but definitely striking. Here you could get a close look on how the faces turned out. I think these two dolls are pretty different from each other, even with the same features. Still, I can see the same calm and dreamy energy in both of them. When the faces are painted, I move on to the bodies. First, hands and feet get a few layers of blush. When the base is done, I paint all the lines and wrinkles with diluted paint to add a bit more depth, and then paint the nails with all necessary details. Then it's time for the rest of the bodies. I add shade into all the crevices and on top of that some blush to make it look even more like skin. Finally, I paint a few birthmarks here and there to add to this illusion of real skin. After a few weeks of work, the painting is done. Now it's time to put the dolls together. Before I can assemble the dolls, I put a bit of epoxy sculpt in some places for strength, glue in metal bars, and line all the joints with suede. Now it's time to assemble. Finally, the dolls themselves are done. Now I can move on to the part that creates the final look of the dolls, giving them hair and outfits. Let's start with the wigs. As usual, I make removable wigs on hot glue cups. For the girl, I am creating a long and flowy hairstyle. I am using natural mohair with a straight texture. When most of the hair is attached to the cup, I make a cut and create a parting. Now all that is left is to trim the hair. I decided to give the girl a long asymmetrical fringe to frame the face. And the wig is done. For the boy, I made a much shorter wig. I am attaching small wefts of hair using a heated metal tool. One day I will modify my soldering iron for this, but not today. When most of the hair is attached, I again create a parting. This time it's very tiny, almost a dot and not a line. When the parting is done, I turned his accidental 2000s hairstyle into something trendier. Here is how the wig turned out. When adults have hair, let's also give them some clothes. I started by dyeing the fabric. I think a warm and pastel color would suit these dolls the best, so I made a mix of pink and orange dye to create a soft, peachy pink color. When the fabric is dyed and dried, I trace the pattern and cut the pieces out. Let's start by making the boy's outfit. I first basted the pieces together and then made the final seams. There are a lot of folds on this piece, and it's quite a challenge to make them all even on this tiny scale, but I think it's totally worth it. Even though I used fray check on the edges, I also finished all the seams so they lay flatter. All that is left is to attach buttons and loops for closure, and the shirt is finished. Next, I move on to the trousers. I cut out the pieces and basted them together. For big and simple seams, I can use a machine, but I still finish everything by hand to make the piece a bit nicer and cleaner. I attach the waistband, hem the leg openings and add a button. And the trousers are done. Next, I am starting to work on the dress for the girl. I am again tracing and cutting the pattern and put the pieces together in the same technique. The dress has even more folds, but as I said, I love the look of this design. Someone commented on my previous video that they would love to have an outfit like this for themselves, and I can agree more. I might even try and create this dress for myself in one of the future videos. Please let me know what you think about this idea. When the bodice is sewn, I attach the skirt and add buttons and loops, and the dress is done. When the clothes are finished, let's make the shoes. This time I am making a slightly new design. Last time I created boots with welt, but I'm not sure if I like them on such small scale. I am trying a slightly sleeker design that would look a bit smaller on the foot. I made a decorative seam on the heel pieces and cut the holes for the laces. The toe pieces are soaked in water and pulled onto the lasts to create the required shape. Then I put both pieces together and started working on the sole. I folded the excess leather on the bottom of the shoe and secured it with thread. Then I hammered the leather to make it lay flat. I cut off all the wrinkles to make the area even flatter, and now I can attach the sole. I add some reinforcement with a piece of thin plastic, then cover it with leather. Last, I attached the heel and painted the sides of the sole black. I decided a bit of paint would make this design look even neater. Finally, I laced up the shoes with silk ribbons and they are done. I definitely prefer this design with no welt. I think it looks very sleek, but let me know in the comments what you think. The outfits are done and I can dress up the dolls, but there is one more thing I need to give them, and that's the names. I did a lot of research and decided to call the girl Xiu and the boy Xuan. Even after very intense googling and watching a dozen videos on pronunciation, I'm still not sure if I'm saying the names correctly, but please know I did my best to be respectful to Chinese culture. I hope I gave them good names with fitting meanings, and I hope you like them as well. Now, when all the work is done, let me show you the finished dolls. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like or a comment. And if you would like to see more videos, please subscribe. And thank you so much for your support for my previous video. I can't even express how much I appreciate it. My resolution for 2024 is to work on my channel and consistently create videos, and I have a lot more ambitious and exciting projects in production, so I hope you would stay with me to see them. Also, as this video goes live, Xiu and Xuan are available for purchase on my website sofiedolls.com. There you can find photos and information about the dolls. The link and my contacts are in description. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.